Marines is a weekly half-hour in-depth look at the Marines of Eastern North Carolina and the communities they serve, what we do, and how we do it in support of you. Now, here's your host, Corporal Dale Reed.
Good morning and welcome to Carolina Marines. Our first story this morning is about the handicapped. The Onslow County groups and individuals who have been outstanding in the support of the handicapped were treated to an evening of recognition recently. Marines and civilian employees from Camp Lejeunce were included in the program. Corporal Stephen Steele has more.
The Jacksonville Mayor's Committee for the Handicapped recently held their annual awards banquet at a local restaurant. This event served as a time for groups and individuals who support the handicapped in Onslow County to be recognized. Jacksonville Mayor George Jones was the master of ceremonies, and the keynote speaker was State Senator Howard Lee of Orange County. Senator Lee's efforts in assisting the physically handicapped are numerous, and he is one of the leaders in the General Assembly fighting for resources to help support handicapped people on the local level. The evening's highest award was given to someone very special. The Handicapped Volunteer of the Year award was presented to Cheryl Brewer. This unimposing young lady is a volunteer teaching assistant at the Tarawa Terrace II Elementary School. She writes lesson plans and helps teach classes on sign language. Senator Lee had never met Ms. Brewer before, but he was very impressed with her.
Because in spite of the fact that she was born as a Down syndrome individual, she has not let that slow her down one bit. She's a bundle of enthusiasm and optimism, and she certainly is a fine example that I think could be motivating and inspirational to any person without the kind of barriers and the challenges that she's had to overcome.
Another award was given to the comptroller for Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune, Lieutenant Colonel Charles Thornton. He was recognized for his efforts to assist hearing impaired employees not only in his office, but throughout the Onslow County military community. Lieutenant Colonel Thornton explained some of the contributions he has made.
What I've done, I have asked my supervisors to meet with their hearing impaired employees on a quarterly basis, to sit down with a professional interpreter to iron out any problems that we may have with the management and the employees, and to give the employees an opportunity to voice any concerns they may have. Now, I have extended this opportunity to other hearing impaired employees aboard the base.
In addition to the speaker and the award ceremony, Ms. Brewer performed Lee Greenwood's song, God Bless the USA, in sign language.
In other news, the Department of the Navy takes an active interest in environmental protection and sponsors annual awards for installations which support environmental programs. This year, Marine Corps Air Station Cherry Point took top honors for Marine Corps installations. Corporal Brian Johnson has the details.
The Assistant Secretary of the Navy for Installations and Environment, Jacqueline Schaefer, visited Marine Corps Air Station Cherry Point recently to recognize the achievements of the air station in protecting the environment. Cherry Point and the 2nd Marine Aircraft Wing, along with the U.S. Naval Hospital and the Naval Aviation Depot, were recognized for their support of an environmental program that led to the air station being awarded the Secretary of the Navy's Environmental Quality Award.
In 1991, leadership in conservation and environmental compliance is not just a noteworthy achievement for one day. It is an absolute must for every command in the Department of the Navy. The public, the Congress, and our President expect it. And we on the Navy Marine Corps team, as exemplified by the individual efforts of people like Mr. Kiner and Mr. Nelson, and the collective efforts of all the commands here at Marine Corps Air Station Cherry Point, we are totally committed to fulfilling that expectation.
The Secretary of the Navy selected the air station for having the most comprehensive waste management, resource recovery, and recycling programs in the Marine Corps. Cherry Point is now competing for the Department of Defense Award for All Services. The winner of that award will be announced later this year. Reporting from Cherry Point for Carolina Marines, I'm Corporal Brian Johnson.
Also this week, for the Marines new to the Corps, there is much to learn, especially with the Corps' weapons inventory. Corporal Jeffrey Ferris reports on one crew-served weapon system that is found in each weapons company and that provides significant firepower to the infantry battalion.
These are Marine students enrolled in Camp Geiger's School of Infantry, Infantry Training Battalion. They're training to become one of the Marine Corps' deadliest assets, machine gunners, the O-331s. Today they're qualifying with their final weapon, the Mark 19. Staff Sergeant Jim Fisher, an instructor at the Machine Gunners School, described this phase of their training.
It's a Mark 19 Mod 3 40mm grenade launcher. It's an automatic grenade launcher. It weighs approximately 75 pounds, and it has a maximum range of 2,212 meters and has a maximum effective range for a point target of 1,500 meters. They'll fire a 40mm grenade. Today we're using HEDP grenades. They're high explosive dual purpose. They have a personnel casualty radius of 15 meters and a killing radius of 5 meters. They also have the capability to penetrate 2 inches of steel at a 0-degree angle. That's where it comes into dual purpose.
A machine gun that fires grenades is a very powerful weapon, and safety must always be paramount.
Well, on this range especially, like all ranges, we run with strict safety in mind. We have one instructor for each gun on the firing line, and all these instructors are experienced machine gunners, and they oversee each student's stage of firing. And all students that are not actively engaged on the firing line are kept busy with concurrent training back in the rear by another instructor. So we keep a pretty tight handle on where all the students are at what time. They're always under supervision of somebody.
Classroom education is essential in a Marine warrior's training, but there's no substitute for firing a weapon in the field.
Well, like with all weapons, classroom time is nice, but nothing compares to hands-on firing.
Well, it's not theory to these Marines any longer. They're prepared now to begin their role as one of the Marine Corps' finest, the O-331s, the machine gunners. Reporting from the live fire ranges on Verona Loop, I'm Corporal Jeffrey Ferris.
Most Marines, regardless of military specialty, are required to fire the Mark 19. Coming up next on Carolina Marines, we'll have a story from Marine Corps Air Station Beaufort, South Carolina. Stay with us.
It just takes a lot of hard work and desire to actually want to do it. It takes a special person to run into a blazing fire at a blazing aircraft that can blow up at any time.
In a war that tore a nation apart, he was a scoundrel captain, the reckless, ruthless Rhett Butler.
You should be kissed and often.
Burning with desire.
And by someone who knows how.
Driven by destruction. A devastating fight to the finish. Clark Gable is Rhett Butler in the classic legend of love and war. Gone with the Wind.
Sunday at noon on Fox 8.
If dining out means more than just eating a meal, experience
Tires look like this, then it's time for you to come.
Welcome back. The Marine Corps has just about every job opportunity as any other branch of the armed forces, and of these in particular is firefighters. At the Marine Corps Air Station in Beaufort, South Carolina, they protect the airfield and personnel involved in aircraft crashes day and night. Corporal Shannon Arledge reports.
From time to time, Marines are called to duty and have to put their lives in jeopardy. Take Operation Desert Storm, for instance. Daily, Marines and countless other service members put their lives in positions they only thought about. When not in a time of war, very few of us can say our jobs are life-threatening. Marines of the Air Station's Crash, Fire, and Rescue Unit risk their lives every time they enter the front gate for duty.
Every day, we're put with the task of maybe putting our lives on the line from a day-to-day basis, day in or day out. And that's about the closest thing you can get to combat, or actually being in combat. And you have other Marines with other jobs. They don't have this hanging over their head, putting their lives on the line from a day in or day out. Basically, they do one job per day, and they might not even see the end result. But here at Crash Crew, we see that end result.
CFR's mission is to save lives or to safely recover all personnel involved in aircraft crashes. Saving lives is a talent that takes training. The Marines of CFR hone their skills every day, 7 days a week. According to Master Sergeant Larry Thompson, CFR's crash chief, they train daily, and it's training they hope to never use.
We're at Crash Fire Rescue trained all the time, continuously. 24 hours a day, there's always somebody here. And the bottom line is we're training all the time to do a job we really hope we never have to do. It just takes a lot of hard work and desire to actually want to do it. It takes a special person to run into a blazing fire at a blazing aircraft that could blow up at any time.
According to Thompson, there hasn't been a major crash on the air station since 1977. They are from time to time called out for routine aircraft mishaps, but when they're not saving lives or putting out fires, they are prepared. One Marine, Lance Corporal Robert Nunez, a CFR specialist, says training is a key word because you can never be fully prepared for every emergency.
It takes a lot of training and it takes a lot of knowledge, know-how of your job. You're never going to be fully prepared because of the emergencies that may occur. No emergency is the same.
Corporal Vietz added, without crash, fire, and rescue, the pilots couldn't fly and the airfield would never be open. He thinks they're important to the mission of the air station and sums up his job as an adrenaline rush.
It's exciting. I mean, everybody's going to be a firefighter at some time. You know what I mean? We are the firefighters. So it's like a job that you're really doing something to help somebody because of our main priorities, saving lives.
The Marines of Crash, Fire, and Rescue rely on their skills and training daily, working around the clock, whether it's a weekend or holiday, to protect lives against one of the air station's most feared accidents. Reporting for the Joint Public Affairs Office at the Marine Corps Air Station in Beaufort, South Carolina, I'm Corporal Shannon Arledge.
Also this week, for most of us, participating in the Olympics is a childhood dream like becoming the president. For a select few, though, those dreams do come true. Sergeant George Klippel reports on a civilian at Camp Lejeunce whose dream has come true not once, but twice.
His name is Roosevelt Sanders. He's the head coach of the All-Marine boxing team here at Camp Lejeunce. His teammates know him simply as coach. And for the past 3 years, he's led this team, made up of the Marine Corps' best pugilists. This year is a special one for Sanders. He's going to Barcelona, Spain for the 1992 Olympics as the assistant coach of the USA boxing team.
There were approximately eight coaches eligible for this, or were selected for this in this process. And I was the second one picked to be on the staff. I feel very fortunate again to be honored with this assignment. And I must say I'm thankful for the Marine Corps for putting me in a position to be selected by virtue of being the coach of the Marine Corps boxing team.
For Sanders, this position is an honor that he's been fortunate enough to have twice. In the '84 games, he was the assistant coach of the team that went on to win 10 gold medals, 1 silver and 1 bronze. His office is filled with boxing memorabilia, pictures of upstart students he's coached like then Marine Corporal Leon Spinks, to handshakes with former President Ronald Reagan. A trip down memory lane for this former Marine Master Sergeant who started his boxing career in Detroit, then brought his skills to the Corps in the 60s. He boxed from 1961 through '64 and was an All-Marine champion. While Sanders has made so many accomplishments in his career, too many to mention here, he now hopes to share some of the wealth. There is a realistic possibility of taking 2 of his Marines with him on the road to the Olympics. Corporal Michael Damone is one boxer Coach Sanders feels has a great chance at making the team. Although Sanders is the assistant coach of the squad, boxers like Damone will have to make it on their own. Maybe the coach's words of wisdom will help.
If you got the desire and the will to achieve something, you can do it. You just have to put forth the effort and have confidence and faith in yourself and the people around you, and faith in the Almighty God, the man above, taking care of you. That things will go right, and that's my philosophy, to keep pushing, keep pushing.
Coach Sanders will keep pushing himself and looking forward to the Olympic Games in Atlanta in 1996, when he hopes to be selected as the head coach for the USA team. But for now, he's satisfied with his accomplishments and will continue to teach and train Marine amateur boxers for years to come. For Carolina Marines, I'm Sergeant George Klippel.
On December 11th at 7 p.m., the U.S. amateur team, made up of the best civilian and military boxers in the United States, will take on the Soviet Union's amateur team. The event is free and open to the public and will be held at the Getty Memorial Fieldhouse aboard Camp Lejeunce. For more information, contact Camp Lejeune's Morale, Welfare, and Recreation section. Elsewhere aboard Camp Lejeunce this week, as the pace of life increases in this country, so too do the number of working parents. The old solution to the problem of what to do with the kids was to drop them off at a babysitter's. Well, there's another option open to parents that's gained popularity in the last few years, and that's daycare. In this next report, we'll take a look at the daycare facilities aboard Camp Lejeunce and the services they provide.
For the letter F.
Workers like this one are the soldiers, and this is their domain. They're not guarding rare coins or gems, land, or even the spoils of war. Rather, they've been entrusted with what some people have termed our nation's greatest resource. They care for children. Day after day, the workers of Camp Lejeunce child development facilities take these children under their wings and give them more than just cookies and punch, as Josephine Andrews, a caregiver at Midway Park's Child Development Center, tells us.
We have to keep them safe, okay? We make sure that they don't hurt themselves, because kids at this age can be very adventurous. They want to run, climb, jump, hop, skip, turn over, do all sorts of things. And we have to allow them the freedom to play and explore themselves in their developing bodies and control over their bodies. But at the same time, we have to ensure that they don't hurt themselves when they do that without cramping their style.
These workers at Midway Park Center comprise a staff that is dedicated to the welfare and education of the children under their care. On the day we visited them, the children took a trip to a base fire station to learn about fire safety. They were shown everything from how not to play with matches to emergency action should they find themselves inside a burning building. Trips of this sort are done in an effort to provide more than just a sitting service for these kids. But what makes these workers endure their daily contact with children for an average of 9 hours a day? Obviously, these children aren't saints. They're normal kids with a lot of energy and tons of curiosity. So what makes them do it? According to Josephine, it's a labor of love.
That's why I work with kids, because I really care about them. I care about the future. And we have to teach kids that there are different ways to get things without force. If you ask please, you're likely to get it more often than if you shove somebody. If you wait your turn, it'll come, but you got to work while you're waiting your turn. You don't just sit there and wait your turn, you know? And if we teach these things at this age, we have a chance for the future, a very great chance. We never run out of hugs in this room.
Coming up next on Carolina Marines, the son of a Marine Corps legend visits Camp Lejeune.
It's a used car bonanza at River.
Welcome back. Most Marines have heard of Chesty Puller, the Marine Corps legend who, in addition to other combat victories, led Marines in the now famous breakout from the Frozen Chosen in Korea. Well, his son visited Camp Lejeune recently, and although he's not quite the combat legend his father is, he's won victory in battles in which lesser men would have met defeat. Lewis Puller Jr., son of Marine Corps legend Chesty Puller, was at the Marine Corps Exchange recently to autograph copies of his autobiography, Fortunate Son. Over 500 people came to have their copy signed, and at times the wait was over 2 hours. Fortunate Son is a moving account of Puller's childhood with his father and his personal turmoil during and after the Vietnam War. Puller's father, Lieutenant General Chesty Puller, was a hero of World War II and Korea. He is the most decorated Marine in the Corps' history, having been awarded 5 Navy Crosses. Although Puller said his father loved his children, there was times when Chesty's legend was hard to live up to.
In the book that really I had 2 fathers. And I had the personal father that you know, taught me how to ride a bike and was there for my small victories and defeats. And then I had this father who was the water walker and the father that most Marines think of. And I tried to live up to that father when really it was the first one that meant the most to me. If you go back and look at the part about his funeral, I talk about going down to his gravesite that night after the funeral and thinking that I wanted him back and I wanted him gone at the same time. And I'm very proud of that legend, but I want some of that gone. And I'm 45 years old now, and it's kind of hard to be Chesty Puller's son. Yeah.
While serving as a Marine lieutenant in Vietnam, Puller lost both legs, most of his left hand, and a finger of his right hand to a booby-trapped howitzer round. After his recovery, Puller successfully went through a bout with alcoholism, graduated from law school, and is now a senior Pentagon legal official. He says, though, that all of his accomplishments could not have been done without the support of his family.
Yeah, I dedicated the book to my wife. I couldn't have done it without her. I mean, she was right there the whole way, still is. Right. And not just my wife, the rest of my family too. I had a fantastic support network, and a lot of veterans didn't have that. A lot of them came from broken families, what have you. Went to Vietnam, didn't have friends, didn't have that kind of a network, and came back to nothing. So I was very lucky in that regard.
And finally on our show this week, with the holiday season fast approaching us, Marine sailors and their families should make travel arrangements now if using commercial transportation. Also, in order to make sure your cards and packages reach their destination on time, check with your local post office for worldwide mailing deadlines. And that's our show for this week. We thank you for watching. Join us next week when we'll take a look at Marines practicing the art of rappelling. Have a great day.
If you have a story idea for Carolina Marines, please call the Camp Lejeunce Public Affairs Office at 451-5655 or 1607, or the Cherry Point Public Affairs Office at 466-2536 or 3542.